What is the question that you have?
Oh, so basically, an argument I come across a lot is that Islam is basically Arabism, and they try to back that up with things from like Hadith, where you see stuff about like two slaves were traded for one guy who wanted to become Muslim, and those two slaves were black. And then you see another thing, I don't know if you've heard about obey your ruler, even if he's an Ethiopian dark-skinned man or something.
No, but let's because like if we jump from one place to another, then it would be hard. Let's start by one. The first hadith that you brought forward, right? Where's the issue that you find in it? Where's the problem you find in it?
I mean, it off the rip, it says he gave two black slaves. I don't even know why that had to be specified that they were black.
Yes.
Is that weird to you or not?
Because the narrators speak about things in detail. So that's like, for example, someone would say, why does the narrators have to specify that Prophet Muhammad had X amount of white hairs in his beard, which is a narration we have, for example? Because our tradition is to be very specific in the description of what the Prophet ﷺ said. In fact, we have narrators where if a narrator is doubtful, he would say, or he said this. So they would be very specific in their descriptions, because this for us is a religion. And the Prophet said, whoever lies upon me intentionally, let him prepare his seat in the hellfire. So for us, we have to be very careful when we talk about the messenger of Allah, because this is religion, like I said. So the descriptions, whether what the color was or where they were from or whatever, that is very specific, because the narrators are specific in their descriptions of the actions that the Prophet Muhammad does. Because sometimes there are wisdoms we can get from the details that we may not see, but scholars may be able to see. So they narrate all the details in general. Okay? So, but what is the problem that you see in that narration? Is there an issue that you can highlight in this narration? Because I don't see any issues with it.
Well, I found it weird that they specified the black thing, and I found it strange that he gave two of the black ones for that one guy.
Okay, so have you understood the part about the specification? I explained now the part of why they would specify. Okay, now the second part about 2 for 1. 2 for 1 here has nothing to do with their color. 2 for 1 here has to do with the fact that this slave that came to the Prophet ﷺ first, he came and he did bay'ah, pledge of allegiance. He accepted Islam, he gave pledge of allegiance. The Prophet did not know that he was a slave. Because you gave a pledge of allegiance that you will fight with the messenger of Allah, you'll protect him, you'll obey the rules, you'll do all of that. But if you are a slave to someone else, you don't have the authority to just leave. Now you're held to that person. So the Prophet did not know, and now the Prophet felt compelled that he wants to help him because he already gave him the pledge of allegiance. So now we've already made so the Prophet wanted to help him. So the Prophet wanted to buy him from the other person. So now if I want to buy something from you, I'm trying to give you a great offer that you would not refuse. So I want your car for whatever reason. In this case, the Prophet wanted him because he gave him bay'ah. I want your car. So look, take 2 of my cars in exchange of that car, because I want your car and I want to give you an offer that I make sure that you're going to accept my offer. Hence why the Prophet ﷺ gave 2 in exchange of 1. Because here there's nothing about the value of them being less than the value of the others. And you wouldn't find any explanations of any scholars that would say that is because their value is less. All of the scholars will tell you the Prophet gave it out of generosity. So he makes sure, because he felt now compelled to help the other one that gave bay'ah. He felt like, okay, I need to help him. He gave me bay'ah. He pledged allegiance. He believes in me. I want to help him. So here, take 2 for 1, 2 for the price of 1, as they say. So you can agree to him, because maybe if he says 1 for 1, he say, no, I don't want to sell my slave, for example. I don't want to let him go free. So the Prophet said, okay, here's an offer that you're not going to refuse. Take 2 for 1. Here is hence the idea 2 for 1 is explained. The idea of the specification is also explained. Okay, so this is one hadith. What other hadith do you have that you'd like to ask?
I don't have the reference, and we could skip this one if you want, but have you heard about like follow your ruler even if he's a black Ethiopian man with a like a head that looks like a raisin?
Yes.
Okay.
So this hadith is the people at the time, of course, we know this idea that the people would belittle individuals based on their race. People would belittle individuals based on their identity. People would belittle individuals based on a variety of different things. Prophet ﷺ, when he mentioned something that culturally people are belittling, even though Allah and the Messenger have clarified, there's no distinction, right? Because right now, if we want to look at the hadith, we have to look in the hadith in the corpus of everything that the Quran and Sunnah teach about that topic. Prophet ﷺ, in his last ceremony, right before his death, in front of over 100,000 companions, said to them, there's no superiority of a black over a white. There's no superiority for a white over a black, except with piety, righteousness, a closeness towards God. Allah in the Quran says, we made you into different nations and tribes so you can get to know each other. The best among you is the one who's more pious, connected to God. So it's very clear in Islam that there is no idea, that there is no this distinction or belittling based on the race or the country or the individual or the looks. Or you're a slave or a free person, all of these things. Islam is clear on these things. However, people still have these things. That's why a prophet multiple times talked about cultural things that people had from Jahiliyyah, pre-Islamic times. A prophet said to them, it's not from us that does this thing from pre-Islamic time. It's not from us that does this. Because the prophet is reminding them, you still have these problems. You still have these issues. Don't have them, remove them. So the prophet is saying, you have to obey your ruler, even if you're looking at that ruler in a belittling way, which you shouldn't be doing. But it's culturally known. So the prophet gave that example because in the culture, they will look at that person with a lesser eye than they would other people. So the prophet is saying, you can't disobey your ruler, even if you're culturally thinking that this person is belittled. So it's actually honoring that person. Saying, if that person is your ruler, your leader, you would obey him. Even if you think in your community that because he's Ethiopian or he looks like this or he's a slave, that he is someone to be belittled. And of course, you know in Islam, the stories about Bilal, where Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, who we believe is the best companion in this ummah, and Umar al-Khattab, they called him our master. They called Bilal our master. He would go on top of the Kaaba and he would give adhan. He would go a call of prayer, right? So the Prophet said, he heard his shoes, the sound of his shoes in paradise, as a glad tiding that he's going to be in paradise. So this idea, like if anybody looks at Islamic history, you know, that's why you mentioned Muhammad Ali, you have Malcolm X. You look at why did these people accept Islam? They saw Malcolm X went to Mecca. They saw all Muslims are the same. They're all wearing the same white clothes. There's no difference that you're black, white, orange, whatever your color is, whatever thing you are. Everybody is equal in the eyes of God. Everybody is treated with respect. Everybody is treated as the same. We don't have this idea. We don't have this problem that the people had in the West. If you trace Islamic history and you look at it, you're not going to have. But there are people who pick these narrations, misrepresent them, ignore the clear narrations that I was telling you, misrepresent these narrations, trying to make it seem as if Islam has an issue with someone's race or something, which of course Islam doesn't.
Okay. So that was actually a good way of putting it. I like how you could show that in a way that kind of emphasizes being pious is more important than your skin color. But like with Islam, I tend to notice it's something could be put one way, but it's never, I don't want to say never come to fruition, but it's not really acted out. So like when we see, so like you said, there's no race greater than another. Do you believe that Arabs had a huge slave trade or no?
Look, the Arabs had a slave trade that was not specific to the color of an individual. We have many individuals that were slaves that were not specifically black. So Arabs had a slave trade. The Romans had a slave trade. The Persians had a slave trade. The Assyrians had a slave trade. Egyptians had all civilizations. Because people mention that about the Arabs. The Atlantic slavery. You have all of these nations. Practically all human history is filled with slavery until slavery was abolished. That was not specific to Islam. And it was not specific to race for sure in the deserts of Arabia. That's a fact. Because we have many examples of companions that were slaves that were not black.
So when Islam was spread, war had to happen, correct?
Yeah, so in the beginning of Islam, the first like 13 years or whatever, Prophet Muhammad called to Islam peacefully. He's been persecuted, his companions were killed. Bilal, that we talked about, was being tortured. They would bring a huge, massive stone and they put it on top of him in the heat of the desert of Arabia and say to him, disbelieve in God. And he will say, one God, and he will not disbelieve. And then the Prophet had to migrate because they were plotting to kill him. Now, the Prophet came to Medina, instantly they came and attacked him. The Battle of Badr, instantly. Then the Battle of Uhud. Then the Battle of all of these. Overwhelming majority of them were defensive battles. Right? So yes, there was wars where the Muslims had to survive and protect themselves. And there was wars where the Muslims came back to, for example, to Mecca, to come back to their home. But they were peaceful and merciful. When Prophet Muhammad came back, those same people that tortured the Prophet, he let them go free after he captured them in war, actually, in the conquest of Mecca. When he came back with 10,000 people and they surrendered, the Prophet let them go free. He said to them, you're free. I'm not going to even blame you. Even though those people persecuted the Prophet for 13 years and killed his companions. So yeah, there was wars. Yes, of course, there was wars that happened. Defensive and offensive, there was wars. Yeah.
So for the offensive wars, how can an offensive war be justified to spread a religion?
So the offensive wars in Islam happen under two things, okay? Number one, it's removing the oppression of a people, of a community. There's being ruled by oppressive people who are not applying the laws of God. Number two, it is delivering the message to everybody who has the right to hear the message. So everybody has a choice to accept or reject the message, correct? That is the case that we believe in. But we believe they also have the right to hear the message. So if a government is preventing their people from hearing the message, just saying, no, nobody will enter here, allow people to hear Islam, they are infringing on the right of those people to make their own decision of whether they want to accept the truth or not. So that is one way of where Muslims can fight a government. Very important, a government, a male combatant to a male combatant, without killing women, without killing children, without doing injustice to the people. Yeah. To allow people to hear the message, which is the right, because this is why they were created, to come closer, to know about God. So it is the right of everyone. This life is a test to connect with God. So this is the purpose of your creation. So everybody has the right to hear that message. And the second thing is oppression. The governments and the people that will be ruling countries, and they will be oppressing the people. They will be doing evil to them. They'll be killing them, massacring them, whatever. So for example, you have an example. Egypt is an example, which I mentioned multiple times before. Egypt was under the Roman Empire. It was under the ruling of Al-Muqawqis. I forgot his name in English now. I mentioned it before. But he was the leader in Egypt at the time. He was appointed by the Roman Empire. And he was persecuting the Coptic Christians. Because he was following the Council of Chaldean. And that was his belief. And he wanted them, Cyrus, yeah. Al-Muqawqis is Cyrus. So Cyrus was the leader of Egypt at the time. Okay? And he was persecuting the Coptic Christians. In fact, he turned the monasteries and places of worship to like bins. He either killed the high priest or his brother. It's missing my memory now. He chopped him to pieces. He buried him and he threw him in the sea. And then I think the high priest, Benjamin, he had to flee, run to the deserts because his brother was killed. Right? This was the case of the Christians. They were completely persecuted. Then Amr ibn al-As came. Muslims came. They defeated the Roman Empire. And they took Egypt. Then, one of the first things he did, he wrote this pact with the Coptic Christians that their wealth is protected, their honor is protected, they will not be forced to accept the religion. This is written in the pact. By the way, this is written in the books of the Christians themselves, the Coptic Christians. They themselves record this in their own history. And then he even gave money to the high priest to reconstruct some places. He brought him back and he said, bring your people back, clean your churches, practice your religion. So they were being persecuted. Islam came and liberated those individuals. Nobody was forced to accept Islam. The pact itself clearly records that nobody would be forced to change his religion. Right? However, we remove the persecution and we apply the law of God to the people equally. Okay? Hence why this idea of like we said, if there is an offensive one that will take place, it will take place under one of these two things.
Do you think slavery is going on in Arab countries today?
Well, it will depend on what you mean by slavery. It will depend on your definition of slavery. So a form of having people work, because look, if you define slavery as overworking people without compensation and them being owned to you, then the answer would be no. Because this was the traditional definition of slavery. Where you're able to, they're all your property, you're able to lash them, they have no freedom to go free, and you work them without compensation. This is the definition of slavery. If you ask that specific definition, I will tell you no. That's why I said it depends on your definition of slavery. Because, for example, you'll have some Muslim country that overwork people from India, you don't even have to be black, right? Overwhelming majority of them come from India, come from over there, and working without enough compensation. It's not without compensation, without enough compensation. However, those people are free, right? They have the freedom to go back to their country if they want it. They have the freedom not to accept the job offer if they want it. However, they have a bad economic situation. Therefore, they're accepting whatever is being given to them, right? Because whatever is being given to them is allowing them to help their family. Nobody's going to say this is right. Nobody's going to say this is the best way of doing things. That is to be condemned, and these people should be paid their due compensation. However, to call it slavery as well, I'm saying there's a little bit of, distinction that needs to be made there.
Fair enough.
Also, keep in mind, a lot of the Arabs themselves are blacks. You know that, right? Sudan is from Aswad, which is black, and it is the entire country.
I was actually about to
Somalia.
ask you about Sudan next.
Yeah, okay, go ahead. Yeah.
So, with the idea that people always pitch to me that Islam is Arabism, and and other races are treated second class to Arabs. How do you feel about, all right, let me ask, do you believe that there are Arab countries siphoning Sudan like gold and resources, or do you not believe that?
So first, I thought you were asking about second class citizen. I don't necessarily agree.
It kind of applies though.
Yeah, I don't think that it necessarily is based on race. I think it's more based on an economic situation of the individual. So if they look at you as a rich person, they're not going to treat you as a second class citizen if you come to the country as a billionaire or a millionaire. So I don't necessarily think it's based on the race, but they exploit the fact that these people are poor, right? Now with Sudan, yes, I believe that there are countries that are getting involved. From what I've seen, look, because the thing is, I'm not a political commentator. I don't do this research into the events that take place. However, from what I've heard, there are countries that are getting involved in Sudan in a negative way, in an evil way, that they should be condemned for their own benefit and their own resources. And that's absolutely to be condemned, and it's absolutely against Islam. These people are murderers, and these people are criminals, without a shadow of a doubt. Now, however, like I said, the exact details, if someone presents me that exact details and proof, I'm more than happy to accept. However, I'm talking about what I heard, what I know, right?
All right, I'm going to ask you this question, but don't think I'm changing the subject because it's going to tie in.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of, like, in Saudi Arabia, and I'm pretty sure other countries have it, they have like units of people that hunt like witches and people that do witchcraft?
Yeah, before I want to stop you first before I answer this question. Do you agree with me there's a distinction between what countries are doing today and what Islam teaches? You're clear on that distinction? Because that's the most important thing for me.
I'm clear on the distinction. My problem is that I don't think it's transformative enough. I don't think if the Prophet was alive today, he'd even like any Muslims. Like, I really don't. And
yeah, we believe there's no Muslim country today that applies Sharia law 100%. It doesn't exist.
So how can you call yourself a Muslim country then?
Well, Muslim country in this case, it means it's a Muslim majority country. It allows the prayer to be called out, allows halal meat to be slaughtered. It lives. However, we don't believe that that you have to necessarily be perfect to be a Muslim country. We don't believe that. But I'm making that distinction.
Perfect.
No, but perfect in this case would be 100% application. That is what perfection is in our standard. If you're 100% applying the law, then you're perfect as in the eyes of God. So we're saying, no, you don't have that perfection. However, you have a law of the laws being applied in some countries. Some countries would apply it more than others. But my point is the things that you have a contention with. My claim is these things that you have a contention with is not supported by the Islamic text, nor does the government use Islamic text to support it. In fact, many of these governments explicitly talk against Islam, actually. Some of the officials in these governments talk against Islam. So it doesn't mean because a government, they have to be Muslim because the overwhelming population is Muslim. They can't just say, oh, we leave Islam. So they have to attack Islam in a way which is not clear if they are enemies. Because now that people are not going to be silent if you say, oh, we leave Islam, then you're not going to be a ruler. You can't be a ruler of a country if you leave Islam. However, they attack it in shady ways. My point is, when you bring something, I'm not here to defend countries. I'm not here to defend rulers. I'm not here to defend individuals. I'm here to defend the religion. I can easily condemn something which is against the Quran and Sunnah, just like I did a minute ago with the Sudan. Easily. Any country that is involved. People mention different countries. Any country that is involved, I easily condemn. Okay? However, I defend the Quran and Sunnah, not countries, not people, not individuals. So when you say to me, for example, Saudi has this law or has that law or whatever, I'm going to ask the question always, is that based on the Quran and Sunnah? Or is it based on something the country does? You had Saudi at once saying women cannot drive or shouldn't drive or whatever. It was only Saudi. But you had so many other Gulf countries, so many other Muslim countries, none of them applied this law. It shows you this is not like a Quran and Sunnah, the Prophet said or the Quran says. Or other countries would be applying it. You know what I mean? And they only applied it for a small period of time. So I'm not here specifically to defend these things. Now, when it comes to the law, I'm not sure what you mean by that law about the witch hunting or whatever.
I was going to tie it in. That's why I had to preface it.
Yeah.
You haven't heard of that? Yeah. Okay.
No, I'm not sure what the law exactly says or what it's about. Yeah.
Basically, I've read about like these units of people, and where I read specifically is that it's in Saudi Arabia. Maybe somebody in the chat knows what I'm talking about, but they hunt people that do witchcraft and stuff like that, and black magic, all those types of things.
It's possible. Practicing magic is a form of apostasy, anyways. But exactly. I do not know but I do not know about specific groups. Do you know their name? What is the source for this information?
I probably should have. I didn't think I was going to talk about that, but I should.
Yeah, no worries. I'm not holding you accountable. I'm just saying, like, it could be true, but I haven't heard of it. But yeah, what's the let's assume that it probably is true. Okay. Let's assume.
So if we see governments investing in things like that and Muslims caring about things like that, why don't we see the Muslim groups basically? Why are we letting? Isn't it wrong as a Muslim to let something like that happen, to let people be taken advantage of? Would it be up to the Muslims of that country to, like, I don't want to even necessarily say uproar, but maybe protest, do something to stop it?
So let's talk about a specific topic. What example do you have in mind? What do you want the people to talk about? So, for example, if I talk about Sudan, there's many Muslims that talk about this, including myself. We talked about this. So there's many Muslims that raise their voice and talk about that. It's not only Sudan, obviously. There's many other countries that have also been wrongdoing, right? And we talk about these issues. So when it comes to talking, we talk. But which specific issue that you want the Muslim community to talk about?
It's not even necessarily I want them to talk. I see that's another thing that's a problem with anybody who wants to have a movement. Talking is never enough. You gotta put boots on the ground. You got to make action happen. So
no, I disagree with you.
Okay, we could get to that point, but what I'm asking is it upon a Muslim to I don't even want to necessarily say jihad and isn't it upon them to, like, literally stop something they know is truly wrong by any means necessary? Even especially when people are using Islam in their face and their image to do these things. Go ahead.
Yes, there's a few things there, right? The first thing is, for instance, the idea that the people are overworking people, they're not paying them enough money for the work that they do. For you to complain, someone can easily come back and say, they are choosing to do this. Nobody's forcing them to do this. We're agreeing with them to pay them this amount and they're accepting it. They're consenting that we are going to accept this specific amount of money in exchange for this specific amount of work. Any day, if they wanted to go back to their country, the border is open. They can take a plane and they can return to their countries. Someone say, what are you protesting about? They can make the argument very easily. They're like, okay, why don't you go to those people? They tell you, go and tell them, why are you accepting this? Go back to your countries, don't accept this bad work. They can easily make this argument. Now, the second thing you say about Muslims stopping something, Prophet ﷺ told us that whoever sees with you an evil thing or a bad thing or something that needs to be corrected, let him stop it with his hand. If he cannot, so here he shows us that not every situation we can get involved, as you said, boots on the ground. If he cannot, then with his tongue. If he cannot even speak with his tongue, let him hate it with his heart. And that is the weakest of faith. The weakest of faith is just like you can't do anything, you just hate it with your heart. But you at least have to hate it with your heart, or you have no faith at all. You have to hate the evil that is happening in your heart at the very least. So when you say boots on the ground, we have issues with that because that can cause more harm than it can cause good. If we say to the people, get on the ground, fight the government, have people being killed. We've seen many revolutions happen. They call the Arab Spring. And then you look at the situation of the countries. By the way, Sudan is one of the examples. So you talk about it. A revolution happened, boots on the ground. And look at the situation now is worse than it was before. The situation is worse. You look at Egypt, it's the same story. Look at almost every country that had Arab Spring, which is mostly being controlled by the West so they can make a revolution or whatever. In the end, when the ruler is removed, the West puts a worse ruler than the one who was there before. They replace him with someone who is worse than he used to be. The economy of the country gets destroyed. Libya is an example. Yemen. Look at the Arab Muslim world and you'll see this. So we say that, look, if we want to do something, the purpose is to change. The Prophet said, if you see a munkar, change it. If what I'm going to do is not going to change it, is going to create a greater harm, then no, I shouldn't be doing that. Because it's going to be a greater harm to destabilize the country, have armies fighting people and hundreds of thousands or tens of thousands of people killed. That is worse than the state that it was already in. So if you want to do something, you got to make sure that this thing is going to fix the issue, is going to change the situation, and it's not going to lead to a worse situation than the one that was in. It was in already.
Do you think we'd be in this position with Islam disagreeing with Islamic governments if we had a caliphate like the Catholic Church has a pope?
Do I think what? If we had a
So maybe I did word that weird.
was distracted for a minute. Go ahead.
If Islam had a caliphate, like the Catholic Church has a pope today, would we be in the same position with the differentiation in Islamic government and Islam, the religion?
Yeah, we have a huge distinction. However, it will also depend on the character and the beliefs of that person. Because, I mean, the caliphate could be bad, just like you have these popes, which were not good. So it will all depend if that caliphate is ruling within the Quran and Sunnah. So if you're assuming in this case that he's ruling within the teachings of the Quran and the prophetic tradition, then absolutely. Because the caliphate will appoint just rulers in every state or every country or whatever. They would rule with the Quran and Sunnah, right? And his relationship with other countries, other superpowers, will also be governed by the protection of the people, protecting the rights, bringing justice, and all of these values that Islam counts for. And in Islam is going to be like probably the strongest superpower if this is the case, if all Muslim countries, 2 billion people come together under one banner. But of course, that will not be allowed by the Western countries or other superpowers, whether it is the US or Russia. They wouldn't allow this to happen because it goes against their own domination and power. But if it was the case, then yes, it will have a huge change in the world, not just in the Muslim countries.
Do you believe somebody can make the argument that we believe in an all-powerful God, so the West shouldn't be able to stop anything that we'd want to do?
No, because that all-powerful God told us that this life is a test and that nations will gather upon us and they will persecute us. And even though we'll be so many in number, we'll have the love of this life and we'll hate death and we will be weak because of our love of this life rather than our connection to God. And that's what will cause us to be weak and persecuted, even though those people are there. So God just promises us victory, but he gives us conditions for victory. Allah never tells us, go sleep in your bed and say, Allah is going to support me and protect and give me victory. Or there's no point of putting us on this earth, It is just no, Allah is testing us. Are we going to take the means? Are we going to follow a tradition? We're going to do everything in our power to be in the position in which we're able to fulfill the will of God on earth, essentially.
Okay. So have you heard of Islamic governments lowering ages of marriage?
Which country are you talking about? I think actually the opposite is happening in most cases, in most government actually. Yeah. If you search this up, actually, maybe ChatGPT or whatever, I think you'll find that in the last, for example, 50 years or whatever, more countries are increasing than they are decreasing actually because of Western pressure and generally change of people's mindset.
Okay. You haven't heard of Pakistan lowering their age or anything like that?
Like I said, no, I think actually Pakistan did the opposite. That's what I heard recently, if I'm not wrong. Or one of the places in Pakistan or whatever. However, it could be the case. I mean, I'm not saying that Pakistan specifically does or doesn't. But I'm saying if you look at the holistic picture, I don't think this is the case with the overwhelming majority of countries.
Okay.
I think Pakistan increased it, by the way. That's what people are saying in the comments. But that's what I think.
All right. But give me the benefit of the doubt. Let's say one of these countries did do that. As a Muslim, would you have to defend that?
For me, it's not a case. We don't have an age in Islam for marriage. It's a case by case. You have to look at the case by case, and you have to make sure there's no psychological or physical harm, and there's agreement, of course, of the parents, the family, the father, and the other family. Once these conditions are being fulfilled, and the father is doing it for the benefit of the girl, there's no harm, psychological, physical, on the girl. The age is irrelevant, really. We don't operate based on the age, on specific ages of marriage. These ages are arbitrary. Now, if you want to look at example, where are you right now? In the US or the UK? Or
I'm in the US. You think I got a UK
in the US?
accent?
No, I was just making sure. You could be from the US but living in the UK, right? So because you said you met me, so I thought maybe you met me there. So when you say you're in the US, which state are you in?
Jersey.
If you want to say, New Jersey.
I didn't want
based
to.
on the state that you're in. Yeah. Sorry about that. And the state that you're in, because I wanted to talk about the age of marriage. It's based on the state. There are 4 states or more, I think, that have no age of marriage, which means you can get married at any age by judge and parent agreement. There are cases in the last, I think, 15 or 20 years where you have 10 years girls getting married, 10 years old boys getting married in the US with the agreement. And we're talking about America, let alone talking about other countries now. Anyways, we don't want to talk about the Stein files. America is If anybody to talk about age of marriage, I think you got to start with. I'm sorry, but you got to start with America.
Trust me, he would get it from me too. He would get it from me.
Yeah. But where's okay? You talked about now. Let me show you something very important. Which I think is a double standard. You talked about Muslims. Why are Muslims not talking? Or which I told you, Muslims are talking about many issues. Now, has there been one mass protest in America about the EPS files? One. When you have your elitists and the government leaders and engaging in all of these type of things, have we had one single? You have look millions of people. Have you had a single large scale protest that happened?
Large scale, no.
Do you see? Isn't that a problem? Isn't that more of a problem that the people day and night want to talk about Muslim countries and Israel? Oh, look, the age of marriage. Nobody has batted an eye. The same people in America have not batted an eye. Oh no! All they did is they tweeted about it. But you said that's not enough a minute ago, right? So why did the people not go in the street and protest over this?
They did. It just didn't make that much noise. Like, news could be suppressed.
No.
Like
it did. If they didn't did it on a large scale, it would make a noise. The reason it did
a large scale.
Small. Yeah, it was a few hundred people here and there. A large scale is like you had in the UK like over 1 million people, for example. They went about the Iraq war and that happened. 1 million people in the streets, right? One of the largest protests that happened. You have places like this, right? We're talking about hundreds of thousands, tens of thousands. We haven't even had that. You haven't had that. Yeah, so it shows you that this should be like a huge uproar. This is the leaders of the country. And you have billions of people. Right? Well, nobody's coming, and we don't have large people. It shows you that truly the people don't care as much as they claim they do care. But when it comes to other countries, they talk about it day and night.
Okay. I wouldn't say the people don't care. I would just say the people kind of already knew there was mass corruption going on.
Not to this extent. And the people don't care enough. I'm not saying they don't care at all. They don't care enough.
What would caring enough require?
Change is asking for the impeachment of Trump, and they were going in the street, like changing voting completely into a different government, like completely changing what's going on here. Like going on, like if millions of people went in the streets in every state demanding the removal of these individuals and their punishment, something will take place. But if that doesn't happen, nothing will take place. They will continue to vote for the same people over and over again. Trump still has millions of supporters online. Crazy. It's crazy. It's honestly crazy with every level of rationality out there. But yeah, it was really nice talking to you, Ken, and I appreciate this discussion. Thank you for being a very, very civilized individual. Like, you see, I have discussions with so many people. They can't even let me speak. I let them speak. Like, can't have a discussion. You saw yourself. It's crazy. So
when you speak, I always listen, man.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. So before I let you go, is there anything you want to say before I let you go? Maybe you have a last thing important that you want to talk about, and then we can finish there.
One more quick one. How can you justify like when people hit me with like, okay, this hadith and things like that, when something is really outlandish, how can you justify, maybe it'd be like the age of Aisha or something like that? Like, what do you say to make, because people's main argument for Islam is that it cannot keep up with the modern world. So basically, how would you combat that? Like, how can you say like Islam is for the modern world? Because you see the things with the age, you see certain things with the slavery, and people say Islam is for that.
Yeah, Islam is not with the modern age. Islam is not with the modern age. Islam is not with the flags people are waving. Islam is not with the EPS files. Islam is not with the bombing and invading of Muslim countries and controlling them by proxy. Islam is not with the child exploitation that's taking place. Islam is not with the racism that is spreading every day and more in America. Islam is not with this modern world of the West. Yeah, Islam is completely against this modern world. So we never made the claim Islam is with the modern world. We say that Islam is against this modern world of alcohol, gambling, prostitution, oil fans, sleeping with 1 million person in one day. We are not with this world. Yeah, with all due respect, we say take that world and keep it. We're not with that modern world. We are with a traditional, beneficial to the people world that is governed by the laws of God. And the age of marriage and age of Aisha falls upon what I said to you. Agreement of the parents. Aisha radiallahu anha was not a child. She reached the age of puberty. It was agreed upon. Nobody in the community ever complained about this. She lived over 50 years after the Prophet. She was a teacher. She had no harm ever. She spoke about the Prophet with the best of ways. Her entire life after the Prophet. She loved him more than anybody, and she would always speak about him. So there was nothing wrong that anybody can morally come and make a claim about the age of Aisha radiallahu anha. And historically, 200 years ago, the age of marriage was 7 years old in the UK. It was 7 years old in Delaware, 10 years old in most of the states in America. 200 years ago, not 1,400 years ago. Societies were different. The woman was, you reach the age of puberty, you're ready to get married. There was no school where you're going to go to elementary. That was how the society would function at that time. So things were completely different. So you cannot apply the today's standards and look at the past. And I have many videos on this.
Would you apply that same logic to cousin marriage in Islam?
Well, okay, what's the problem with cousin marriages?
Have you heard that it can basically increase the chances of birth defects?
Now, I have something here very, very, I want actually, I was going to do like I was looking for an opportunity to do a specific video on this idea of cousin marriages, specifically only this idea. But no, we're going to speak about it now, quickly. Right?
I'm honored.
Since we have this chat. Even though I wanted to do a video just for it, but let's talk about it. Okay.
I'm honored.
Cousin marriages, right? Do you know the chances, how much chances increase between the marriages and cousin marriage? How much does the chance really increase?
Are you talking about for birth defects?
Yeah.
I believe
it's like not cousin, and if it's cousin.
Honestly, I don't know the percentages, but I believe they're relatively small. But I feel like the risk in general isn't worth it.
Like how small?
Probably under 5%.
Under 5%. It increases by 1 to 2%.
Okay.
It increases by 1 to 2%. So if the argument is just because we have an exception, 1 to 2%, in which defects may appear, therefore we have to say that cousin marriages are wrong. Let's try now to apply this rule. Yeah, let's try to apply this rule. For instance, do you know that women that are post the age of 40, what is the chance for them to have a child with autism if they're past the age of 40 and they have a child?
Much higher.
Higher. Do you know it's like 80% more likely or something than if the woman is not past. So should we say now, since women past the age of 40 have this likelihood, then women that pass the age of 40 should not have kids? Now we can apply this to obesity. The chances of all, of course, autism and all other diseases. If a woman is obese, if a woman has high blood pressure, if a woman has high sugar, all of them will increase even more than the percentage if we talk about cousin marriages. So if this rule were to be applied, someone comes and says, oh, the percentages increase with 1%, therefore we say we shouldn't do this, then we will have to apply this rule to every case in which the percentages of harm can increase to the children even a lot more, which would be most people probably have children at this point. Look at the obesity today, look at people with health problems, blood pressure, high sugar, it's the overwhelming majority of people. Women over the age of 40. We will have to prevent everybody from having kids at this point. Right? So you cannot apply just because there are small percentages of something, then you have, like, for example, we'd say, I'm not going to become a doctor because there is a 5% chance of me getting infection if I'm going to treat a person who has a disease, a COVID, for example, and I need to go treat them. Nobody should be a doctor because there's a chance of infection. We start applying this. Oh, there's a very small chance of harm happening to you. Therefore, that specific thing should not be done because there is a small chance of that thing happening in that situation. Now, that's a huge issue, right? Plus, today, we also have things that can help us. And by the way, we can apply this to anything, like car crashes, plane crashes, stuff. Oh, there's this small percentage of a possibility of a car crash. Okay, don't get on planes, don't drive cars. Like, nobody, you can apply a small percentage of an exception and apply as a general rule. Now, also, there's genetic ways to check if you're worried, you're going to marry your cousin and you're worried, because it's genetically specific. You can both do research and check that if you have it so close that it increases the likelihood or not. Because it's not just about being a cousin, but it's to do with the genetics of the two individuals. So today, we can also do this. Allah in the Quran tells us to ask the people of knowledge if we're afraid of any harm. That's not against Islam to go and ask and do research. Okay? So that's also another thing that people can do. Okay. Now, also, if we talk about, we got to also talk about the idea of time and place. The Sharia, because even we're saying we can do these things genetically today, we could not have done them in the past. And the laws of Allah have to be applicable for every day and time and place. And there are more benefits of allowing cousin marriages than harms. There's many benefits, right? So there is many tribes, for example, that have this tradition. Many tribes that have the tradition of closely only marrying between each other. Love and attachment and connection can happen between cousins, and it can develop. And that can lead them to do something very harmful, which is disobeying God and doing fornication or doing adultery, doing all of these things, due to the fact that this thing is not allowed. Because you can be around your cousin or your family member, and you can develop attachment, you can develop feelings. You're a human being in the end. So for someone to say, let Islam close this door because there is a very small percentage, right? It's a very, very small percentage of something happening is not reasonable in any way, shape, or form. Let us leave all of these benefits that are there, that are a lot more than the harms, because there is a small percentage that can be applicable to any topic in life.
Okay, wow. Well put.
By the way, also, let me say this. Many scholars in Islam, like Imam Shafi'i and others, who recommended that you marry from the further, the better it is. He actually said that the closer you get married when it comes to families, it can lead you to issues to do with intellect and be smart if the individual is born. Actually, it's said like over 1,200 years ago. So he's saying it's more recommended, it is better that the individuals marry further away. Just because Islam says, now this is something very important here. If I say something is allowed, it does not mean that I'm saying I'm encouraging it. Now, this is very important. Let me repeat it again. Just because Islam says it is allowed to marry, Islam is not saying you should marry.
So it's like
It's a
makruh.
very big... Sorry?
Is that what makruh is? Like,
yeah, you can say, yeah, makruh is where something is allowed, but if you do it, you don't get a sin, but if you leave it, you get a reward. That's what the makruh is. However, in this case, I'm saying scholars would recommend that if you get married further away rather than to get married closer to.
Okay, now I see.
Okay? This is a recommendation. Yeah, this is a recommendation of many scholars. However, the point I'm making is Islam is not encouraging the idea. It's not saying do it, but is allowing it because there is more benefit, like I mentioned, for all of these cultural things and societal things. And it's a door that shouldn't be closed because there is an exception that is small, that is applicable in this case to things that are even a lot more. Like I said, obesity or all of these things are past the age of 40 or whatever. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make a lot of sense, actually.
Okay, all right. Yeah, so this is the case with the idea of cousin marriage. All right, I got to end here. See, I'm tired. I was even saying things the wrong way because I'm completely tired. It's already like almost 2 a.m. here or something. So pleasure talking to you, man. No worries. I have a flight very early in the morning, actually. But it's okay.
Where you headed?
Oh, it's a pleasure talking to you. Yeah, I can't talk about it. It's a bit secret.
Oh, sorry.
No, don't apologize. Don't apologize. So a pleasure talking to you. It was really good conversation. I look into Islam more, Ken. You know, I really hope that you can come closer to Islam and hopefully maybe accept it one day. You seem like a very... I did. Yeah. So I'm talking to you all this time. You didn't tell me you're a Muslim. What? Come on, man.
See, the thing is, I'm not sure if you consider me a Muslim because I have a lot of problems with the Hadith and jurisprudence. Like, I just need to learn more, I guess.
Okay, so did you watch the video that I have on dismantling Hadith rejectors?
Yes.
You did watch the video?
Multiple times.
Okay, and you still have issues?
Yeah, it's a lot of Hadith out there. So it's not like you cover every one in the video, and it's like what I covered in the video was the methodology of how we did differentiate between an authentic one and a not authentic one. So even though there is many, but also the chain of narration, all of these things. So the reason is we have the system. It proves that because there's so many hadith, it proves that our system works because we're rejecting more than we were accepting. That means there is a methodology that is being applied in which we're using to reject the hadith. And when you bring me a certain hadith that you may have an issue with or think about or whatever or something like that, in the end, you realize there is another answer. Perhaps you haven't been asking the person. There's an interpretation that perhaps you haven't seen. So just because something may come across to you, if it's authentic hadith, there will be an explanation. However, because you haven't asked the right person, perhaps you may think, okay, this hadith now I need to discover. But that doesn't mean that therefore the hadith have issues. Does that make sense? It does make sense.
Okay. Some people saying, ask him to say his shahada again. Do you want to say his shahada again? I don't think you have to, man. I don't think you have to. So long as, look, did you agree with the methodology in the hadith? That the Quran mentions the existence of another revelation other than itself, that there is this rigorous process that we have in Islamic history for the authentication. So long as you agree with that, you agree with the principle, with the foundation. You understand?
Okay. Yes, I understand what you're saying about once you get the methodology and the concept, you can apply it over all hadiths. But where I struggle is when you get deep into it and you get into the books of fiqh and jurisprudence and things like that. And let's say you were believing in something from the Hanbali school. Does that mean you automatically have to conform to everything of that school of thought? Or is it possible to mix, or what?
No, I mean, following the school of thought is more for students of knowledge. For laymen, they would ask someone they trust their religion and piety, and they're known in the community to be respected. And they will give them evidences, and they will follow their evidences. But following the schools of thought has a system, which is why students of knowledge will stick to studying a school of thought, their principles and things like that. And then they can even change to a different school of thought. But nobody has to blindly follow fully a school of thought. If they realize that a school of thought is wrong about something, because every school of thought is wrong about something here or there. Nobody is infallible. And those schools, yeah, but that's not hadith though. That's the explanation of jurisprudence is completely different. These same scholars said to you that if what we say goes against what the Prophet said or the Quran and Sunnah, reject it. So they don't say that they're infallible. None of them say that they're infallible. So we will go back to the evidence always, and the evidence is that which is going to lead us to be sure or what we should follow and what we shouldn't follow. But I was telling you that this jurisprudence is not hadith. Jurisprudence is extrapolating rulings from the Quran and Sunnah using principles. So the hadith is there already, and the Quran is there, and then we come to a ruling using them. Does that make sense?
Exactly. Yeah. So like the stuff about like when you have to, let's say you want to make wudu and you don't have any water, and I know you got to go. I'm sorry, but so like I've heard like it's okay to like not make wudu. I've heard it's like you got to use dirt, put it on your face. I think it's called like or something like that.
Yeah, but tayammum is mentioned in the Quran as well. By the way, the Quran, tayammum is in the Quran as well. So the thing is, like people, that's what the problem when people talk about hadith. I'm telling you, it's about understanding. Yeah, if you don't have water, it's two things. If you don't have water, access to water, or if water will harm you. So for instance, there's a narration about Prophet Muhammad and an individual that had like a wound in his head, and he was covering his head. And he needed to do ghusl, purification with water. So then he asked people, what should I do? They didn't know the ruling. He asked them, what should I do? And then they said to him, you have to use water. So he used the water and he died.
Okay.
Then the Prophet got very angry. Of course, because they killed the person. And then they said, wasn't it enough for them if they didn't know that they would ask? And then he said, they killed him, may Allah kill them, or something to that extent. He was very angry, of course, about what they did. So the Prophet said, it's enough for you to do tayammum. So if the water is going to damage you, like some people have like some, I just did an operation. I can't apply water here, for example. You wouldn't apply water on that part. So tayammum is you will have sand or dust or anything from that sense. You're going to do like this, very simple. You're going to do one hit, you're going to do this, and you're going to wipe your face. That's it. That's enough. But that's only for that exceptional situation in which water is not there or water is going to harm you. That is also mentioned in the Quran. Allah says, تَجِدُ مَاءً. If you do not find water, فَتَيَمَّمُوا, do tayammum. Sa'idan is referring to the earth. Tayyiban means it's pure. It's not harmful. It's not bad for you to do this. It's not dirty. Just because it's called dirt doesn't mean like it's going to hurt you. Sand. If I do this with sand, it's not bad for me. So that's in the Quran, and it's in the hadith of how to do it, the method of doing it.
Okay. Well put. I'm gonna let you get out of here, brother. I know you got stuff to do.
But tell me before I let you go that like we're sure that you don't have any issues now, inshallah, with the hadith. You understand what I'm saying? That it's about asking. Yeah, it's about asking. It's about asking and getting knowledge. It's not about looking at something and thinking, oh, but that doesn't fit what I'm thinking. Like the idea of cousin marriages that I answered for you, or any idea. It's about asking the people of knowledge, right? And this will give you a bigger perspective or idea that you were missing. Because I guarantee you, you're not going to find one hadith, authentic hadith, that it's not like you cannot explain reasonably and understand within the teachings of the Quran and Sunnah. It's just about you asking the right question. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah. I appreciate it.
Do you accept that? I don't want to let you go, and I'm worried about you with the hadith.
You'll know for a fact you're going to let me go, and I'm going to study as hard as possible with an open mind. You'll know that for a fact.
Khalas, alhamdulillah. Okay, that is what all we need. I mean, in the end,
exactly.
All right, Ken, it was a pleasure talking to you, man.
Why is your chat calling me Musad? I don't like that.
Who
Why
did?
Musad? It was two people a while ago.
Probably one person.
Israel?
Yeah, I haven't seen it. Yeah, anybody who insults a brother should be timed out, mods. Okay, I haven't seen it actually. Maybe they already deleted it.
It was a little while ago.
Yeah.
Right. Take care, right,
don't worry. Keep in mind, there's many disbelievers watching that pretending to be Muslims as well.
Haters.
And they even use Muslim names, and they say as a Muslim, and then they lie and say something. They are Mossad themselves, and then they're calling you one. Anyways, man, Allah understand. Don't worry about that, Ken. No worry, man. You're very. But you see, in the end, you were someone who accepted Islam. You're reasonable, which is why you accepted Islam. I was thanking you for your mannerisms, but this is it. Like when we deal with people who are not Muslim, we're ending up with people who are. Allah understand. There is good.
I noticed.
Yeah, but there is good people. But yeah, Allah understand. All right, Ken. Pleasure talking to you, man.
It's a pleasure talking to you too, brother.
Assalamu alaikum.
Take care.
صنعتم في الأرض نورا يا قلوبا فيها الوفاء بشركم اليوم السرور